Okay, so today we'll start with characteristics of an entrepreneur. Come in. So, as you know, we'll always start with giving out points before we go through the topic. So, who has been involved in business? Mpenya, hand up, smile. Who has been involved in business? Any kind of business, even if it's small. Mpenya, smile. Okay, so as a business lady, what characteristics do you need to have? You need to be friendly, okay. Smile.
Patience.
Patience?
Yeah.
Linda? What characteristics do you need to have? Love for who? Okay, what type of love? Customer care, okay. That's the love you're talking about, or you've just diverted to customer care? Okay. So, according to the course we're going through, an entrepreneur needs to have 7 main characteristics. 7 main characteristics. And the first, what, too fast? Okay. The first characteristic is an entrepreneur needs to have vision. Why is vision important? Lorraine. In fact, let's start with Tiamike. Sorry. Why is vision important in business?
It gives you a heads up where your business, how you want your business to be, the aim, and how you can manage it. The start and to where you want it to be like. Even it here is for it forever. I don't know anything, but then from the start to the future.
Oh, okay. That's basically why an entrepreneur needs vision. So, I'll explain it, don't worry. You have a question? Okay, so the first thing that an entrepreneur needs to have is vision. The reason why they need to have vision is because they need to know where the business is going. So before you start a business, you need to have an idea of what you want and what you want to achieve in a period of time. That's basically having vision. So if you're selling 10 phones, you want a vision to get to 100 phones in 2 months. You need to have a vision so you can work towards that vision. So an entrepreneur who doesn't have vision, they use up the capital. Okay, I'm not talking about you. But they use up the capital because of small problems. And if you have a vision, you are able to handle any risk or any problem that comes your way. That's one of the most important things that an entrepreneur needs to have. I hope that was understood. Any questions? Okay, so the second characteristic is Passion. Passion. Lorraine, why should an entrepreneur have passion? Or what is passion? Let me just ask. What's your name? Patience. Okay. Penya, why should an entrepreneur have passion? You have done business. Passion is you should be able to love what you are doing. So why should an entrepreneur have passion? Penya. Okay. Lorraine.
When you love something, you just really grow, when you want to think it should grow and start.
Okay, so we've all heard that saying that says you need to do what you love. Because when you do what you love, you put your whole heart and energy into that thing. So an entrepreneur having passion means he or she is giving it the business his all. So they are going to do everything to make it work. This is why an entrepreneur needs to have passion. Okay, when an entrepreneur loves the business or loves what he's doing, he is going to give all energy into that business. He's going to do everything to make it work. The third characteristic of an entrepreneur is motivation. Gertrude, why should an entrepreneur be motivated? Sorry? No idea. Patience. Sorry. Why should an entrepreneur be motivated?
For to like put full effort in what the business you're running.
Okay, so for one to put more effort into the business, you need to be motivated. So that means that when you wake up in the morning, you need to know what you want to achieve. Don't be lazy. Okay, you find if you've gone to town, area 2, around 5 a.m., you'll find people there. Not because they don't want to sleep, but they have something to do. They have to eat by the end of the day. They have kids, they have parents. So that thing that gives you the energy to go to do your business and work hard every day is what an entrepreneur needs. So motivation is what makes an entrepreneur to be hardworking. Any questions so far? Or comments? So it's clear on the motivation. Okay. The fourth characteristic of an entrepreneur is risk-taking. 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 Smile. You say you've done business. Why should an entrepreneur have this characteristic?
It helps they the entrepreneur to try many things because they are not afraid of taking a risk, so they'll be able to achieve and try so many things.
Okay, so when it comes to risk taking, an entrepreneur needs to be willing to try out things. They need to be willing to take another step in order to grow the business. So if you hear that this business has no suppliers, but it has customers, you don't know if that business will work. An entrepreneur will still take that step to see for himself if that business will work or not. That's how people become successful. They are willing to take a risk. So what this point means is an entrepreneur doesn't have to be afraid of anything. They don't have to be afraid of making losses. Because in the process, there may be a chance of making profits. That makes sense? No?
It makes sense.
Okay. The other characteristic is curiosity. This one goes hand in hand with risk taking. So an entrepreneur needs to have that keen mind of, I want to try this. I want to see if this will work. You need to be curious about how much you can make when you try something. You also need to be curious about the whole business as a whole, as how do I take the business to another level? Be curious about how your business would survive if it went in another step. Too fast? And the other characteristic is creativity. Takuzwa. Why should an entrepreneur be creative?
You need to be creative because that's how they get new customers. Let's say they come up with other products or the newest advertised, that's being creative, that's how they get customers. Therefore, if they get new customers, you get sales people and profit.
Okay. One of the setbacks of business is you always have competitors. So that means you always have someone who's selling the same thing as you're selling, or something better or something less. There will always be someone you're fighting with for customers. So in order to gain more customers than your competitors, you need to be creative. So this means that you need to come up with new ideas. You need to come up with products that are unique. Or you also need to find marketing strategies that your competitors are not using. Be creative. That's how you succeed in business. You give customers what they can't find anywhere else. The last characteristic is confidence. The new guy, sorry, I forgot your name.
Nigel.
Yeah. Why should an entrepreneur have confidence?
So that it will be easy for the entrepreneur to market his business in a way that the customer sees the confidence in the face of the investor or the entrepreneur. The customer will be pleased by the confidence.
Okay, so when you're doing business, one of the things that customers will notice is how confident you are in selling your products and also talking to them. So if you're confident, you can be able to approach anyone. We have some business owners that are shy. So they don't know how to talk to customers. Then we have business owners that are willing to take the insults or anything as long as the business works. A good example, Param Best Fitness ladies. I know. So those ladies have confidence. You see the negativity that comes in. You see how they are criticized every day. But for them, as long as the business is working, they are good to go. So every entrepreneur needs to have a certain level of confidence. Be able to explain your products. Be able to interact with customers. Because if you shy away from the customers, you're also losing money. So those are the characteristics of an entrepreneur. If you want to start a successful business, you need to have these characteristics. Like Mpenya is confident. Oh wow. So, any questions so far? Guys, questions? No questions? Okay. So the other thing we're going to look at today is functions of an entrepreneur. Functions of an entrepreneur. So these are the things that an entrepreneur is responsible for in a business. So if you're involved in any kind of business, you need to be able to do these things. So the first function of an entrepreneur is decision making. Chisomo, can you explain this point?
Decision making is whereby you are able to follow your own decision.
Okay, so every entrepreneur, at some point in time, they need to make a decision. They have to make a decision during the day, before they start the day, even at the end of the day, they have to make decisions. So they have to know what am I going to do today? Where am I going to do it? Who am I going to interact with? So for business, bigger businesses where you have employees, these employees look to you as the owner of the business to make decisions because they just can't make it on their own. For example, giving discounts. That is left to the owner of the business because they are not sure what you want or whether you're willing to give a discount or not. So you have to be able to make decisions as an entrepreneur. That's one of the functions of an entrepreneur. Questions? The second function of an entrepreneur is division of income. So Linda, I'm going to let you explain this one. You came with your business last week. So you can explain how you divide your income. Okay, just explain the little you can. Because you put in money into those lollipops. And how did you divide that income?
I divide the money in that lollipops, and then the profits I had, I take the profits I had and then put it at another side, and then once I make another one, and then I pay, and then add, and then add.
Okay, so that maybe you guys didn't hear what she said. She said she bought lollipops, and when she has made profits, she puts those profits aside and uses the remaining money to buy lollipops again. When she makes more profits, she adds the money and buys more. That's what she said. Okay, so yeah, that's just the basic of how you divide your income. I was asking her because I can't see the lollipops again. So maybe she's about to go to town to buy more.
Yes.
Let's not doubt her. Okay, so as an entrepreneur, you need to divide your income. So when you are making an investment, we spoke of capital. Capital goes into buying raw materials, production, and other required things for production. So when you use that capital, you either make a profit or a loss. Let's say you have made profits. When the profits come, you need to be able to divide your money properly, so you don't lose the whole business. Like Linda. But maybe she didn't lose the business.
Yes, I did lose.
So you can either keep your profits aside while you continue with production in order to make more profits, and then accumulate the whole money together and put it into something bigger. That's how businesses grow. You don't have to make profits and at the same time you've gone to buy KFC with the money you've made. So you have to be able to keep your profits. You have to be able to sustain your business with the money that you have and with the money that you're making. In terms of loans, you have to be able to sustain your business and also be able to refund what you've borrowed. I hope that makes sense. So that is a function of an entrepreneur, dividing the money, putting it into segments so the business can continue running. The third function is risk taking. Yes, you're going to find it everywhere, because a business cannot run without risks. You're always expecting something to happen. Yeah, of course. Can you explain this point? Risk taking. No idea, no well. Can you explain risk taking as a function of an entrepreneur?
You need to be able to take some bigger steps in order for your business to boom.
Boom is what?
It's the language of business.
Okay, but you can't write that in an exam. So how would you explain it? You need to find a word to replace boom. Express yourself.
So how did you start making big money?
Big money, it's called growth.
In business language, it's boom.
Okay, yes, I get it. In business language, it's boom. But in educational language, it's growth. So if you write boom in exam, I will put question marks there. Okay, so in order for the business to grow, an entrepreneur needs to take risks. So they need to take steps that someone is not willing to take. That's the function of an entrepreneur. So as the owner of the business, you need to be able to push your employees to do something that they wouldn't do on their own. The last function of an entrepreneur is innovation. Innovation. Okay. Have you learned of competitive advantage? Or does anyone know what competitive advantage means? Not really, but to an extent it's an advantage.
In this way, entrepreneurs, maybe they're selling the same thing, but then one decides to change the prices and go.
There are several ways in which you can gain competitive advantage. So in a way, I said about her explanation where it's advantages of competing. So in a way, it goes in that direction. So competitive advantage is an advantage that a business has over their competitors. So when you talked about prices, it can also be one of the things. So you can sell the same thing but at a lower price. That's competitive advantage because everyone is looking for something cheap. We can even go from here to Bandiru just to buy something that has a 50 watt difference. That's competitive advantage. You have something to say?
No.
Okay, so the reason why a business needs to have competitive advantage is because you want to grow. You want to gain more customers. So to do that, you need to be innovative. You need to come up with new ideas. Think outside the box. Okay, think outside the box and bring out things that are not existing in the market, or things that were already there but you just add a little spice to it. So that's a function of an entrepreneur. As an entrepreneur, you need to be thinking outside the box all the time. You need to learn new words, learn how to approach your customers every day, learn something new. That's how you become innovative. So those are the 4 functions of an entrepreneur. Any questions? Yeah?
What about problem solving?
Problem solving, that's also a function of an entrepreneur. So that's on decision making. When a problem comes, you need to make a decision very quickly. Like, how do I tackle this problem? Your employees are not going to make that decision for you usually, unless you've employed them to make that decision. Like for bigger companies, there are people who are handling marketing, accounting. When a problem comes, the accounting department is not going to go to the marketing department. They'll have to handle it on their own. All the things that shareholders need are the profits. So as long as you give them the profits, the survival of the business is up to you. But if you write problem solving on an exam, you also get the marks. The next thing that we're going to look at is management and entrepreneurship. Management and entrepreneurship. So, what is the difference between a manager and an entrepreneur? Innocent. What is the difference between a manager and an entrepreneur?
An entrepreneur is a person who is making money for people, while a manager is a person who manages a company.
Okay, so an entrepreneur can also run a company. So how do you differentiate the two? Yeah, Noah.
I think a manager is someone that's paying people to run the business. But then an entrepreneur is someone that's doing it on their own.
Okay, that could be one of the differences. Sorry.
An entrepreneur owns the business. A manager doesn't own the business.
An entrepreneur what?
Owns the business. A manager doesn't own the business.
Okay. Napenda ubao. Okay, we can continue. You will notice that an entrepreneur has most of the characteristics that a manager has. So an entrepreneur can both be a business owner and also a manager. But one of the main differences is a manager usually doesn't own the business. He or she is someone who has been employed by someone else to run the business. So they manage the things in the business. They manage the products they buy. They look at how much money they put in all departments. They also look at how the products come out. They look at the employee salaries and how the business runs from day to day. So a business owner may not be available at the business place, but they have someone who's running the business for them. So these ones are usually called the managers. So management, the management team is usually on the top. They have to make decisions for the whole company. If they make bad decisions, those that are following them can also make bad decisions. So that leads the business to a loss. So we are going to look at management and entrepreneurship. I just wanted to know what the difference is between a manager and an entrepreneur. So management refers to the act. It refers to the act of getting things done by other people. It refers to the act of getting things done by other people. On the other hand, entrepreneurship, it refers to the starting of a venture. It refers to the starting of a venture with a profit motive. A venture. Yeah. The starting of a venture with a profit motive in mind. Okay, so management refers to the act of getting things done by other people, while entrepreneurship refers to the starting of a venture. You remember we spoke of a venture last week?
Yes.
On the terms used in entrepreneurship, we spoke about a venture. So it is the act of starting a venture with a profit motive in mind. So what this statement means is that when we talk about management, we are telling other people to do something for us. While entrepreneurship, someone is running a business, a risk-taking business on their own in order to gain a profit. That's the difference between management and entrepreneurship. So these things are also similar because at some point an entrepreneur needs to manage the business. So they have to go through the same process that managers go through. So management and entrepreneurship involve decision making. they involve decision making, and they both require the individual to have confidence. Another difference between management and entrepreneurship is that entrepreneurs are concerned with starting a new business. Entrepreneurs are concerned with starting a new business, while managers are concerned with managing the ongoing operations. So this statement means that entrepreneurs are willing to start something new. Managers are just going to keep operating the business as long as it makes profits. As long as the shareholders are impressed and satisfied, management will keep running ongoing processes even if they don't start something new. I hope that makes sense. So the last thing that we're going to look at today is the entrepreneurial process. So when we talk about this process, we are just trying to summarize the things that are involved in a business. That is what we are trying to look at. So the first thing that is involved in entrepreneurship is the coming up of an idea. So an entrepreneur comes up with an idea which involves evaluation of a product or service. It involves evaluation of a product or service and the resources. Okay, so we are looking at the evaluation of a product or service and the resources needed to create a finished product. The resources needed to create a finished product that will satisfy the needs of customers. Okay, so this process, the entrepreneurial process, involves the coming up of an idea and evaluating a service or product, and the resources needed to create a new finished product that will satisfy the needs of customers. So that is the whole process of Entrepreneurship, that's basically what they do when they're starting with a business. So what you do is, first of all, you need to have an idea of what you want to do. It's either this idea goes towards the creation of products or services, or maybe both. So if I have an idea that I'm going to be selling phones, that's my idea to create a business that will be selling a product. And I need to evaluate the resources that I need to sell these things. So if it's something like that comes from natural resources, things like jam, I have to look at the resources that I need to create jam. So I have to look at the suppliers of the jars. I also have to look at the suppliers of sugar. I have to look at the suppliers of mangoes. What kind of jam am I going to be making, and such type of things. So this thing that you're creating should be able to satisfy the needs of customers. Remember, we spoke about needs in Principles of Marketing last week. So that's something that someone cannot live without. So they're hungry, they're looking for something good, they want bread and jam. You are providing jam, maybe someone else can provide bread. Guys, does that make sense? Okay. So, I'm almost done, don't worry. Huh? Yeah, that's the last thing. We are still explaining the entrepreneurial process. Okay, so you have to look at economic resources, which is something to do with money. How much money do you need to start this business or to bring out this new product? So also think about the economics. Yeah, you need to think of how much money you need. That's capital. How much capital do I need? Do I also need assets, or do I need just money? So the end product, which is the product that you have created, will always be sold at a higher price than what you have put in during production. So you look at costs like distribution, production, paying employees, and the resources that you've used. So when you accumulate all these costs, you have to sell the product at a higher cost than everything you've put in, so you can be able to make profits. Well, the rest of it is basically what I've explained. But I will send these notes. These are a combination of the notes I taught last week and this week. So if I did ask about the entrepreneurial process, you guys need to be you need to be able to explain everything. If I asked in an exam,